Hey everyone, welcome back to VOXQ. Today we've got some wild ones. Grab a drink, settle in, and let's get into it. There's something about confidence that makes people believe they'll never be questioned. Like if they say something firmly enough, nobody will ever stop and ask for proof. And that works, right up until it doesn't. The first one starts with Casey, Luke, and a wedding weekend that was supposed to be simple. Casey had been helping organize a small apartment gathering the night before their friend Daniel's wedding. Nothing crazy, just a pre-event hangout. A few people, some drinks, a controlled vibe. Everyone agreed on the plan weeks in advance. Or at least, that's what Casey thought. Because 3 days before the wedding, everything suddenly changed. People started messaging Casey asking why the party had been moved. Others were confused about the location. A few said they weren't even invited anymore. And Casey just sat there staring at the messages thinking, "What are you talking about?" So Casey went straight to Luke. "Hey, did something change with the party plans?" Luke didn't even hesitate. "No, everything's the same. People are just overthinking it." And that should have been the end. But it wasn't. Because the confusion kept growing. Messages piling up, people referencing things Casey had never said, new details appearing out of nowhere. And this is where it gets worse. Someone finally sent Casey a screenshot, an email thread, an invite email that had been forwarded around the group, and in that email, it clearly said the party had been moved. Different time, different location, different guest list, and at the bottom of it, Luke's name. Casey felt that shift instantly. That quiet moment where everything clicks, but you don't want it to. So Casey called Luke again. "Why is your name on this email?" Luke laughed. "That's not from me. Someone probably edited it." That was the moment everything cracked. Because now it wasn't confusion anymore. It was denial. Casey didn't argue, just opened the full thread, scrolled through the metadata, checked the timestamps, and there it was. Original sender, Luke. Not edited, not forwarded incorrectly, sent directly. And somehow he still thought he could talk his way out of it. So Casey did something simple. Waited. Let the wedding weekend start. Let everyone gather. Let the tension sit in the room without saying anything. Then, during the pre-event hangout, Casey pulled up the email on his phone and placed it face up on the table. "Can you explain this?" The room went quiet. Luke leaned forward, glanced at the screen, then leaned back like it wasn't a big deal. "I mean, yeah, I helped adjust a few things." Casey didn't move. "You told me nothing changed." Pause. People started looking at each other, and that silence, it got heavy. Because now it wasn't about the email, it was about the lie. And what happened next made it impossible to deny. Casey opened the full thread and started reading it out loud. Every message, every change, every decision Luke made without telling anyone. And suddenly, Luke wasn't controlling the narrative anymore. He was reacting, trying to explain, trying to soften it, trying to say it wasn't a big deal. But it was too late, because the proof was already there. And once people saw it, the energy in the room shifted completely. The weekend still happened, but Luke wasn't in the center of it anymore. And Casey realized something simple. People can lie all they want, but receipts don't. The second story gets more personal. Harper and Olivia had been together for almost 2 years, and for most of that time things felt solid, until they didn't. It started small, a weird tone, a few delayed responses, that subtle feeling that something wasn't lining up. Harper asked about it directly. "Is something going on?" Olivia smiled. "No, you're overthinking." That should have been reassuring, but it wasn't, because the feeling didn't go away. And then came the voice memo. One night, Harper saw Olivia's phone light up, a notification from someone Harper didn't recognize, just a name, no context. So Harper asked, "Who's that?" Olivia didn't hesitate, "Just a coworker." But something about the way it was said felt rehearsed. And this is where it gets worse. A few days later, a mutual friend mentioned hearing something. A voice memo. Something Olivia had sent. Something that didn't match the story she'd been telling. So Harper asked again, "Did you send a voice memo to someone about me?" Olivia laughed. "No, that's ridiculous." And somehow she made it sound believable. Until she didn't. Because that same friend ended up forwarding the voice memo, and when Harper pressed play, everything stopped. Olivia's voice, clear, calm, talking about Harper like they were a problem, like they were paranoid, like they were the issue. And that was the moment everything shifted. Not because of what was said, but because of the contrast, what Olivia said privately versus what she said to Harper's face. So Harper didn't react immediately, just saved the file, waited, and then brought it up again. "Are you sure you didn't send anything?" Olivia shook her head. "No, I told you, no." Pause, and then Harper hit play. Right there, no warning, no buildup, just the truth filling the room. And the look on Olivia's face, that instant realization that she couldn't talk her way out of it. That silence hit differently, because now it wasn't a conversation, it was exposure. Olivia tried to explain, tried to say it was taken out of context, tried to shift the blame, but it didn't land, because the proof wasn't emotional, it was factual, and that's what broke everything. Harper didn't argue, didn't yell, just stood there and said, "You told me I was imagining things." And that was it. The relationship didn't end in chaos, it ended in clarity. And sometimes that hits harder. The last one is where everything goes public. Bailey's family had been dealing with a long, drawn-out situation involving property repairs after a relative passed. Marcus had been handling most of it as the executor, managing documents, payments, updates. At least, that's what he claimed. Because when the family started asking questions, the answers didn't add up. Receipts were missing, numbers felt off, timelines didn't make sense. So Bailey asked directly, "Can we see the repair records?" Marcus smiled. "Everything's handled, don't worry about it." That should have been the end. But it wasn't, because the lawyer got involved. And suddenly, everything had to be documented, everything had to be verified. And this is where it gets worse. The day everyone sat down at the lawyer's office, Marcus walked in confident, relaxed, composed, like he already knew how it was going to go. Bailey sat across the table holding a folder, thick, organized, quiet. The lawyer started asking questions. Marcus answered smoothly, clean explanations, clean stories, until Bailey spoke. "I brought the documents and placed them on the table. Mortgage records, repair invoices, payment logs, all aligned, all verified." And suddenly, Marcus leaned forward. That subtle shift, because now it wasn't just words, it was proof. Bailey slid one document across. "Can you explain this payment?" Marcus hesitated. Just for a second. But that was enough, because everyone saw it. That pause, that moment where confidence turns into calculation. And then everything cracked. Marcus started talking faster, trying to explain discrepancies, trying to shift details, trying to create doubt. But it didn't work, because the documents didn't move, they didn't change, they just sat there, clear, unavoidable. And the room got quiet, the kind of quiet where nobody needs to say anything, because everyone already knows. The lawyer leaned back, looked at Marcus, then back at the documents, and just said, "We're going to need clarification on all of this." And that was it. Public. Final. Done. Marcus walked in expecting control. He left exposed. And Bailey didn't need to say much after that, because the proof said everything. And here's the thing about all of these. They all started the same way. Confidence. That belief that if you say something enough times, people will accept it. But confidence without truth doesn't last, because eventually reality catches up. And when it does, it doesn't argue, it just shows up. And once proof is on the table, everything changes. Because lies depend on conversation. Proof doesn't, it just exists. And that's why it hits so hard. Because there's no escape from it, no spin, no explanation, no recovery. Just that moment where everything stops and everyone sees it. And once that happens,
There's no going back. And if you've ever seen that moment in real life, you already know. It's quiet, it's uncomfortable, and it's final. So yeah, if there's one thing all of this proves, it's that people can fake confidence, but they can't fake receipts. And that's where we're gonna leave this one. If you've ever seen someone get caught like this, you already know how fast everything can flip. Stick around because there's always more of these moments. And next time, it might be even worse.